That roll of paper towels on your kitchen counter. You tore one off this morning without a second thought. Mamavation sent 16 of the most popular brands to an EPA-certified laboratory, bought right off the shelves you shop every week. One brand came back with 37 parts per million of organic fluorine, a marker for the same forever chemicals now turning up in contaminated drinking water nationwide. The brand with two separate products flagged is owned by a $60 billion multinational, and its name was built on being the safe choice. I will show you two words on any label that tell you whether the fiber inside is carrying someone else's chemical waste. 11 to throw out, 2 that earned your counter, worst saved for last, and the brands worth buying at the end. Starting with the one in most American kitchens. Number 11. Sparkle. Sparkle is the paper towel you grab because it costs $3 and you are in a hurry. It is made by Georgia Pacific, which was purchased by Koch Industries in 2005 for $13.2 billion in cash plus nearly $8 billion in assumed debt. Koch Industries reports annual revenue north of $125 billion. Sparkle is their entry-level offering. That low price is the point. The Natural Resources Defense Council has graded Sparkle an F on its issue with Tissue Sustainability Scorecard, and it has held that grade for multiple years running. The fiber is virgin wood pulp, sourced in part from the boreal forest in Canada, which loses over 1 million acres a year to logging for products exactly like this. That forest stores roughly twice the carbon held in all the world's remaining oil reserves. And Sparkle is one of the thinnest paper towels you can buy. One sheet, one spill, and you are reaching for 2 or 3 more, which means you are burning through the roll faster and buying more rolls per year. Georgia Pacific operates over 150 facilities across nearly 30 states. Their recycling subsidiary is one of the largest traders of paper, metal, and plastics on the planet. They have the infrastructure to source alternative fibers or recycled content at scale. They choose not to for Sparkle because keeping it cheap is the business model. Think of it like buying the cheapest garbage bag on the shelf. You save 40 cents at the register and lose $1 when the bag tears halfway to the curb. The company that makes Sparkle knows how to produce a thicker, stronger sheet. They sell one. It is called Bronny, and we will get to that. Still on the same shelf, but priced a little higher. Number 10. Up and Up. Target's store brand paper towel. Clean white packaging. Reasonable price. And according to Mamavation's lab results, no detectable organic fluorine, so it passed that particular test. The problem is everything else. The NRDC has consistently scored Target's store-brand tissue products poorly on sustainability. The fiber is conventional virgin wood pulp with no meaningful recycled content and no commitment to alternative fibers like bamboo or sugarcane. The bleaching method is elemental chlorine-free, which is an improvement over the raw chlorine gas the industry used through the late 1990s, but it is not chlorine-free. Elemental chlorine-free still uses chlorine dioxide in the bleaching process, and the EPA has documented since 1990 that this method can still produce trace chlorinated compounds, including low levels of dioxins and furans, persistent pollutants linked to cancer and hormone disruption. Target introduced a climate action plan and a line of Everspring products with recycled content, but the standard Up and Up paper towel on the shelf right now does not carry those commitments. It is virgin pulp, bleached white, wrapped in plastic, and sold on brand trust that the packaging does not earn. The paper also requires wet-strength resin to hold together when damp. The industry standard for this is PAE, polyamidoamine epichlorohydrin, which replaced older formaldehyde-based resins. PAE is considered safer than what came before it, but its manufacturing can leave trace residuals of 1,3-dichloropropionol, a compound that European regulators classify as a substance of very high concern. There is no equivalent disclosure requirement in the United States, and the Up and Up label does not mention which resin system is used. It is like painting a wall green and calling the house energy efficient. The color does not change what is behind it. One brand on the good list at the end of this video prints its fiber source on every package and has done so since day one. We get there in about 20 minutes. What happens when a bigger brand does the same thing, except with 40% of the entire market behind it? Number 9. Scott. Scott paper towels are made by Kimberly-Clark, a company with roughly $20 billion in annual revenue and operations in more than 175 countries. The brand has been around for over a century. Your grandmother probably had Scott in her kitchen. That kind of shelf life builds a loyalty that outlasts the product. The NRDC gave Scott a D grade on its 2024 issue with Tissue Scorecard. Not the worst grade on this list, but still failing by any honest measure. The fiber is conventional wood pulp. There is no recycled content in the standard Scott paper towel. Kimberly-Clark did announce in 2024 an ambition to eliminate natural forest fiber from its entire product line, but an ambition is not a deadline, and the Scott towel on your shelf today is still made from trees. The bleaching is elemental chlorine-free. Same process, same trace byproducts as the Target brand we just covered. Where Scott differs is in how thin it is. Scott towels are marketed on economy, not performance. One ply. Minimal quilting. They are light, and that means you use more per task, which means more rolls per month. In Consumer Reports testing, Scott consistently ranks near the bottom for absorbency. You are paying less per roll, but using more rolls. The math does not actually save you much. Kimberly-Clark's tissue brands, including Scott, Cottonelle, Kleenex, and Viva, together hold a major share of the North American tissue market. The company has the buying power to source bamboo, sugarcane, or agricultural waste fiber at competitive prices. Instead, Scott remains virgin pulp because the margin is better and the customer keeps coming back out of habit. Imagine buying paper plates so thin you have to stack 3 of them under a slice of pizza. You did not save money. You tripled your plate consumption. The brand at #1 on the good list has never sourced from a boreal logging operation. It costs less per sheet than this. Different store. Same problem, but bigger. Number 8. Kirkland Signature. Costco's private label paper towel. It is thick. It is absorbent. Consumer Reports has ranked it competitively with Bounty for years, and Mamavation's lab found no detectable organic fluorine in the sample they tested. So far, so good. But Costco does not make its own paper towels. The company has used multiple suppliers over the years, including Clearwater Paper Corporation, which exited the tissue business in late 2024 when its tissue division was acquired by the Italian firm Sofidel. Georgia Pacific has also been identified as a Kirkland supplier. That means the same company that makes Sparkle, owned by Koch Industries, may be making the premium Costco roll too. Costco does not confirm who manufactures Kirkland at any given time, and the supplier can change without notice. You do not get to know. The NRDC has given Kirkland low sustainability marks. The fiber is virgin pulp. Costco launched a climate action plan in 2022 that includes regenerative and deforestation-free agriculture goals, and Kirkland towels now carry a Sustainable Forestry Initiative stamp. But that certification has drawn criticism from environmental groups who argue its standards fall short of the Forest Stewardship Council. This is not a paper towel problem. This is an accountability problem. You cannot verify the source of the fiber, you cannot verify the manufacturer, and the sustainability stamp on the package was chosen by the company, not by an independent auditor with nothing to sell you. Picture a restaurant that serves excellent steak but refuses to say where the beef came from, then assures you on a table card that they care deeply about sourcing. If you are buying Kirkland because you trust Costco, the trust is doing the work. The towel is not earning it. Ask the brand we are about to cover the same question, and you get a very different kind of silence. Number 7. Bounty. This is the brand. 40% of the North American paper towel market, according to Procter & Gamble's own SEC filings. Bounty has held that share for over a decade. P&G reported $82 billion in net sales for fiscal year 2023 and generates roughly $17.9 billion in annual operating cash flow. Bounty is not a small brand inside a big company. Bounty is the reason P&G's family care division exists. Procter & Gamble acquired the Green Bay, Wisconsin tissue maker Charmin in 1957 and spent a decade developing a more absorbent 2-ply towel that replaced Charmin towels in 1965 and was renamed Bounty. 60 years later, it dominates the aisle. The NRDC has given Bounty a straight F on every issue, with tissue scorecard for 6 consecutive years. The fiber is 100% virgin wood pulp. No recycled content. The pulp is sourced in part from the Canadian boreal forest, the largest intact forest on Earth, being logged at over 1 million acres per year to feed consumer demand for single-use tissue products. In 2024, the United States accounted for 67% of all of Canada's pulp and paper exports. Bounty's bleaching method is elemental chlorine-free. Their website says they source from 100% third-party certified lands and plant 2 trees for every one they cut. The NRDC's response to that claim is that replanting does not restore the ecological complexity of old-growth boreal or recover the carbon released by logging it in the first place. Calling it sustainable because you replant is like draining a lake, filling it back up with tap water and claiming the fish should be fine. The brand at number 2 on the good list solved the fiber question entirely, without trees and without the boreal. We are about 15 minutes away. Now take everything you just heard about Bounty and add a parent company with $125 billion in revenue and a history of fighting environmental regulation. Number 6. Bronny. Bronny is made by Georgia Pacific, a wholly owned subsidiary of Koch Industries, since December 2005, when Koch paid $13.2 billion for the equity and assumed another $7.8 billion in Georgia Pacific debt. At the time, the deal made Koch the largest privately held company in America by revenue. Today, Koch Industries employs over 100,000 people across petroleum, chemicals, ranching, fertilizer, and paper. Bronny is the premium towel in Georgia Pacific's lineup. Sparkle is the economy brand. Same parent company, same fiber sourcing, different price tags. The NRDC has given Bronny an F on sustainability. Same as Sparkle, same as Bounty. Virgin wood pulp. No recycled content in the standard product. Georgia Pacific recently completed a $550 million expansion at its Broadway mill in Green Bay, Wisconsin, a facility dedicated to the Bronny line. That is not an investment in cleaner sourcing. That is an investment in producing more of the same product at higher volume. Bronny won a Product of the Year award in 2025 for its 3-ply towels, voted on by consumers. Awards measure popularity. They do not measure what the fiber is or where it came from. Here is the home test I promised at the beginning. Look at any paper towel package right now. Find 2 words. The fiber source. If it says virgin pulp or wood pulp, or just does not mention fiber at all, the company chose not to tell you what you are holding. If it says post-consumer recycled, the fiber came from the recycling stream, which is better for forests, but carries its own problem that we are about to get to. If it says bamboo or sugarcane, the fiber never passed through the system that contaminates it. Those 2 words, the fiber source, are the whole test. Most of the brands on this list either do not print them or hope you do not read them. Check the country of origin on a jar of honey sometime. If the label skips it, there is usually a reason. Now we move from what the forest loses to what the recycling bin brings in. Number 5. Viva. Viva is Kimberly-Clark's premium paper towel, marketed as a cloth-like alternative and priced accordingly. The texture is different, smoother, softer. The advertising leans on the idea that you can use Viva like a reusable cloth and rinse it under the faucet. That is a design choice, not a sourcing decision. The NRDC gave Viva a D on its 2024 scorecard. The fiber is conventional wood pulp. Kimberly-Clark announced in 2024 that it would work toward removing natural forest fiber from its product line, but that announcement applied to an ambition, not a timeline, and the Viva towel on shelves right now still uses virgin pulp. To make a paper towel hold together when wet, the way Viva promises, manufacturers add a wet-strength resin to the pulp during production. Historically, the most common resins were urea formaldehyde and melamine formaldehyde compounds. The industry has largely shifted to a newer chemistry called PAE, polyamidoamine epichlorohydrin, which works without formaldehyde, but can leave its own residual byproducts, including trace levels of a compound called 1,3-dichloropropionol, which is classified as a substance of very high concern under European chemical safety regulations. The United States has no equivalent restriction on PAE residuals in tissue products. So the towel that feels like cloth gets that feel from a resin system that Europe monitors and America does not. If someone sold you a non-stick pan and then mentioned that the coating was restricted in other countries, you would probably want to know why. We are about to cross into a different part of this list. Every brand so far broke the same way. Virgin pulp from old forests, bleached and sold as Progress. The next 5 brands tried to solve that problem by using recycled paper instead. What the lab found in that recycled paper is why you are still watching. Number 4. EcoFirst. EcoFirst sells itself on sustainability. The packaging says recycled. The branding is earth tones and environmental language. The price is higher than Bounty or Bronny because you are paying for what you believe is a cleaner product. Mamavation sent EcoFirst sustainable recycled paper products paper towels to their EPA-certified lab. The result was 20 parts per million of organic fluorine, a marker for PFAS, forever chemicals. That is a detection. That is not a trace. That is a number the lab flagged. Why would a recycled paper towel contain PFAS? Because of where recycled paper comes from. When paper gets recycled, everything that was printed on it, coated on it, or chemically bonded to it goes into the pulp stream. And one of the largest single sources of contaminated paper entering the recycling system is thermal receipt paper. A study published in Environmental Science and Technology found BPA in 94% of thermal receipt papers tested and in 81% of other recycled paper products, including paper towels and napkins. When BPA-coated receipts enter the recycling stream, the BPA does not disappear. It distributes through the new products made from that pulp. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency studied this pathway and recommended that consumers stop putting thermal receipts in the recycling bin entirely because the BPA and BPS embedded in that paper contaminates the rest of the stream. But the recycling industry has not adopted that recommendation universally, and EcoFirst does not disclose where its recycled fiber comes from or whether receipt paper has been excluded. It is like washing a load of white shirts with one red sock. You did not add red on purpose, but every shirt comes out pink. The recycled paper towel you bought to avoid hurting the environment may be delivering chemicals that were never part of the paper towel supply chain in the first place. The brand at #1 on the good list chose bamboo specifically because bamboo never passes through a recycling stream, which means zero receipt contamination and zero inherited chemicals. We get to them soon. Same chemistry, different label. Number 3. Natural Value Quilted. Craft 100% recycled. Natural Value sells a brown, unbleached quilted paper towel made from 80% post-consumer recycled paper. On its face, that sounds like exactly what a careful shopper would choose. No bleach, high recycled content. A brand name that says Natural Value on every package. Mamavation's lab returned 18 parts per million of organic fluorine. Another detection. The same recycling stream contamination we just covered applies here. 80% post-consumer recycled content means 80% of the fiber came from paper that Americans already used, printed on, coated, and threw into the blue bin. That stream includes thermal receipts carrying BPA and BPS, food packaging with PFAS coatings, and every other coated paper product that entered the recycling system alongside it. A 2011 study by researchers led by Karun Thakalam Kanan at the Wadsworth Center in Albany, New York, found that paper towels and napkins made from recycled fibers contained BPA at concentrations reaching microgram per gram levels. Not because anyone added BPA to the towel, because it hitchhiked through the recycling process. And that is the paradox nobody puts on the label. Higher recycled content is better for forests. But unless the recycling stream is cleaned of thermal receipt paper and coated food packaging first, higher recycled content also means higher potential exposure to endocrine disruptors every time you tear off a sheet and wipe your kitchen counter. Natural Value charges a premium for this product. The brown, unbleached look communicates honesty. The 80% post-consumer claim sounds like a badge of environmental merit, and it is for the forest. But nobody told you what that 80% carries with it. Imagine buying organic eggs from a hen that was fed organic grain but drank from a trough full of tap water nobody tested. The eggs are not as clean as the label implies. This is where the worst findings start. Number 2. Real Premium Tree Free Kitchen Towel. Not the bamboo one, the recycled one. This distinction matters because Real sells 2 different paper towel products under the same brand name. The Real sustainable bamboo paper towel tested at non-detect for organic fluorine in Mamavation's lab. Clean. But the Real Premium Tree Free Kitchen Towel, which is made from 100% recycled fiber and not bamboo, came back at 37 parts per million of organic fluorine. That is the highest reading of any paper towel brand Mamavation tested. 37 parts per million. Higher than the 7th generation products. Higher than EcoFirst. Higher than the Natural Value brand. The product with the worst lab result in this entire category is one that markets itself as premium, tree-free, and sustainable. And the packaging does not make the fiber distinction obvious. Both products say Real in the same font, with the same branding. One is bamboo, one is recycled, one passed, one had the worst number in the study. A shopper in the aisle, reaching for the one that says tree-free, has no reason to know which version they are holding unless they read the small print. That is like putting 2 bottles of olive oil on the same shelf, one Real and one cut with seed oil, with the same label design and different fine print on the back. Real markets itself as a purpose-driven company. They donate to sanitation nonprofits. The branding is clean, modern, and positioned for the kind of shopper who reads ingredients. But the company is selling two fundamentally different products under the same trust, and the version with the worst lab result in this entire category does not make that obvious from arm's length on a store shelf. If you already buy real bamboo paper towels, your product is clean. If you buy the recycled reel, you are holding the highest PFAS marker reading in this entire investigation. This one is owned by Real Paper, an independent company. The brand we are about to cover is not. Number 1. Seventh generation. Parents and grandparents defend this brand harder than any other on the shelf. They pay more for it. They trust the label. And it is the name you heard at the top of this video. Seventh Generation was founded in Burlington, Vermont in 1988, named after the Great Law of the Iroquois, the principle that every decision should consider its impact on the next 7 generations. For decades, it was the brand that careful shoppers chose when they wanted the clean option. Plant-based ingredients, chlorine-free processing, recycled content, everything the label promised. In 2016, Unilever acquired Seventh Generation for approximately $700 million. Unilever reports annual revenue exceeding $60 billion and owns brands including Dove, Hellmann's, and Axe body spray. Seventh Generation is now a subsidiary of one of the largest consumer goods companies on Earth. Mamavation sent 2 Seventh Generation paper towels to the lab. The recycled version whitened without chlorine bleach came back at 13 parts per million of organic fluorine. The unbleached recycled version came back at 20. A second sample, tested in March 2026, returned 12. Both products had detections. The brand named for protecting future generations had 2 products flagged for a marker of the same forever chemicals contaminating drinking water across the country. Seventh Generation's core promise, recycled content to protect forests, appears to be the very thing introducing the contamination. The recycling stream that feeds these products carries BPA from thermal receipts and PFAS from coated packaging, and no one is cleaning it before it becomes your paper towel. Buying Seventh Generation because of its name is like choosing a doctor based on the diplomas hanging in the waiting room without asking whether they have read a journal since the frames went up. This is not a company that does not care. This is a company whose $60 billion parent has the resources to test every batch and publish those results, and chooses not to. A few thousand people get next month's updated list early through the label report. The link is in the description. That is 11 brands. 9 of them are made by 3 companies: Procter & Gamble, Kimberly-Clark, and Koch Industries through Georgia Pacific. The pattern is the same across every single one. The company knows how to make a cleaner product. It knows how to source alternative fibers. It knows the recycling stream is contaminated. And it chose the version that protects the margin. Now here is what you came for. These 2 brands are not the least bad options on the shelf. They made different decisions with the same raw materials, the same supply chain pressures, and the same market, judged on 2 things: whether the lab found any indication of PFAS, and whether the fiber source avoids both the boreal logging pipeline and the contaminated recycling stream. Number 2. Kabu Tree-Free Bamboo Paper Towels. What they gave up was margin on every roll. Bamboo fiber costs more to process than virgin wood pulp from a boreal logging operation, and Kabu priced their product to compete on the shelf anyway. That is a choice most of the brands on this list refuse to make. Mamavation's EPA-certified lab-tested Kabu tree-free paper towels made from sustainable bamboo and found non-detect for organic fluorine. No indication of PFAS. Clean. Kabu uses 100% FSC certified bamboo and sugarcane. Bamboo is a grass, not a tree. It regenerates after harvest without replanting. It does not pass through a recycling stream, which means no thermal receipt contamination, no BPA hitchhiking through the pulp. The fiber is new, from a crop that grows back in months, not decades. The product is 2-ply. It holds together when wet. It does not disintegrate the way some eco-branded towels do. Building biologist Corinne Segura at My Chemical Free House tested Kabu against other brands and found it met her criteria for both performance and chemical safety. Kabu is available on Amazon, through Grove Collaborative, and through the company's own website. A 6-pack of mega rolls runs between $15 and $19 depending on the retailer, which puts it at roughly $3 per roll. For comparison, Bounty Select A size typically costs between $2.50 and $3 per roll at full price, and you will use fewer Kabu sheets per task because the sheets are larger and hold more liquid. The per spill cost is roughly the same, except one of them tested clean and the other is an F from the NRDC. Your grandmother did not have Kaboo on her counter because it did not exist yet. But if you told her the paper towel she trusted was bleached with chlorine compounds and sourced from a forest being logged at 1,000,000 acres a year, she would have switched. There is one more. Number 1. Repurpose Ultra. Strong bamboo paper towels. Repurpose built its brand on doing one thing and being specific about it. The fiber is 100% bamboo. The lab found non-detect for organic fluorine. No PFAS indication. Clean. Where Repurpose separates itself is in what it refuses to print on the package. No unearned certifications, no vague environmental language, and no eco or green branding that means nothing without a lab result behind it. The product is bamboo. The company says so. The test confirms it. The towels are 2-ply, scored for tear-off sizing, and built to hold together under running water. Absorbency testing by independent reviewers puts them in the competitive range with conventional premium towels, which matters because the number one reason people abandon eco-branded paper towels is that the performance does not match the price. A 4-pack on Amazon runs about $12 to $14, which puts the per roll cost around $3 to $3.50. Against Bounty at roughly $3 per roll, Repurpose costs a small premium per roll but holds up to larger spills, which means fewer sheets per task. The per-use math is close to even. The difference is that one of them tested clean for PFAS markers and sources fiber that never touches the recycling stream or the boreal forest, and the other one has received a failing sustainability grade for 6 consecutive years from the NRDC, 2 brands out of 13. That is not a good score for this aisle. But these two made every decision the other 11 avoided, from fiber sourcing to lab transparency, and they did it at a price that does not punish you for reading the label. 7th Generation can change its recycled fiber supplier next quarter, and nothing on the label will tell you. Formulas move quietly. Suppliers rotate without notice. The label report rechecks every verdict monthly and flags recalls before you shop again. Scan the code on screen or use the first link below. $10 a month, cancel anytime. Go annual, and 5 months are free. Just want the method? Both guides are $15 one time. Same link.